recording. So, okay. So number one, Harriet Tubman, right? And if you weren't able to go ahead and read or catch up on what was going on in the book and how John C. Maxwell spoke about her, some people refer to her as General Tubman, and the reason being because of the type of level of respect that she demanded or that she had from the people that she was leading. Despite the cards that she was dealt, she always came out on top. So it seemed like, right, odds weren't in the house's favor whenever she walked in. The stories go, right, that all the people that she ever brought underneath the railroads, right, she was 100%. I like to refer a lot to sports. So in terms of playing baseball, she was batting 1,000. Each and every single time she went into the enemy land, right, or the territory where she wasn't welcome, and each and every single time she went back out and brought people to the freedom land, she was always 100%, right, of her efforts. Each person that she brought out, she was able to go ahead and make sure they were free. But on top of that, people began to refer to her also as Moses, because again, she led everyone and didn't lose anyone. Those that decided to follow her when the going got tough, quitting was not an option. She didn't allow it. Right in the book, it said those that became weak or wanted to turn around, she wouldn't allow them to. She would put a gun to their head and tell them, "Hey, you got to keep on going, or the road ends here." Right? Because if you go back, there's no turning back. Right? The reason why we're walking this way is because whatever's behind us that way, it doesn't want us. Right? It's worse. So we must keep on pushing and walking forward. And same thing here within Transact Card. Same thing even outside of Transact Card, right? With our friends, with our family, whoever those people are that we lead, right? There's times where it gets to a point in life, it gets tough, right? We get tired, we get beat up, we get sad, whatever, however it is that you feel on a certain day, right? But again, we got to keep on pushing. We got to keep on pushing forward. And Harriet Tubman made sure every single person, a part of her team, kept pushing forward, no matter what it was that they felt, how they felt, what it was that they were going through, right? She made sure they finished and they followed through. And same thing here within Transact Card, right? As us as being DBOs, we need to make sure those part of our team, those that we are leading, that they follow through. We make sure that they get to the finish line. And we also need to have the same mindset and mentality that Harriet Tubman had, right? A lot of in the beginning, before he shared her name, he spoke about all the shortcomings that she had, right? Being hit in the head, leaving from job to job, falling asleep at jobs, all these type of other things. And yet, look at what she's known for to this day. Not those things, right? Not the shortcomings, not the bad cards that she was dealt, but everything else that she did beyond that. And that right there is amazing. So number two, the leader way, right? Which way? The leader way. Who's your favorite leader? Let me know in the chat or write it down later on in the group chat and share within the WhatsApp group who your favorite leader is and why. Who's your favorite leader? People are able to recognize when there isn't great leadership and will be quick to leave. Now, I've been part of other, me coming from the restaurant industry, I've worked at a handful of restaurants. And I could tell you, and I'm sure in your field of work, you have a lot of people who are in this leadership positions when they themselves are not leaders. They have this leadership title and they themselves are not a leader. Certain of those restaurants that I worked at, I was quick to leave and walk away and take my talents elsewhere. So it's important as DBOs to work on us individually and as a collective. So as people come on board or we are introduced to people or we meet people, right? They want to go ahead and follow us. Why? Because they can go ahead and see and tell that we put in the work, right? Not just in the light, but also in the dark. And then one example I want to give is Bill Walton. He didn't want to shave his beard to make a statement, lead us to say he did shave it. Respect the system as well, not just the leader. If you missed this within the book, Bill Walton was a college player who got a degree or a scholarship, excuse me, to go play for UCLA and a well-respected coach during that time. But they had a system, right? They had rules put in place, and one of those being that you couldn't have facial hair. Same thing like again, I go back to sports, and in our current times, we have the New York Yankees in baseball. Anyone that goes and signs with the New York Yankees, the first thing that they have to do, if they have facial hair, is get rid of it. So same thing here within Transact Card, right? And us as being DBOs, we have the new member orientation, the 10 steps, right? That is the system that we must follow. That is a system that we must obey. Why? Because we see that the system produces winners. UCLA at that time was doing nothing but producing winners. If you wanted to be a part of the team, you had to be a part of the team, right? You had to fall in place, follow the line as everyone else, and not try to be separate, right? So again, we must go ahead and follow and respect the system, not just the leader as well. But within the book, right, it shows an example when people come into a place, a gathering, leaders tend to take control, and as the group disperses, we see who the real leader is. And this picture in the background, again, we see this is who that real leader is. Whether that's you, Gus, Oscar, or Jacqueline, who else joined? Oh, that's me. I saw 4 people total. So Gus, Oscar, Jacqueline, right? Let this be you. Visualize yourself as that leader right here out in front with those following you. Why? Because you're here on this Zoom, right? You're here on this training. Nobody else is. No one had made you to come and join on this Zoom. I'll tell you, with or without you on this Zoom, I would have recorded it. But obviously, I'm a lot more excited to have you along here with me. Why? Because it makes things a lot greater when we work together as a team. So in this leader way, I know it shows one person because I want you to visualize yourself. But us here as DBOs and Transact Card, we're leading together and we're leading the masses. So let me go ahead and go to the next slide. Let's begin again on the typo, on the 6, not the 7, on the 6 steps on how we can go ahead and gain a leadership, right? Are you ready? Let's go ahead and dive into it. So number 1 is natural leadership ability. John C. Maxwell speaks about it, how some are born with these natural leadership skills, but everyone can become better, right? Meaning that if we lack those leadership skills, right, we weren't born with it like other people were, that doesn't mean anything. Why? Because we can go ahead and work ourselves, and guess what? Maybe even make ourselves better leaders than those that were born naturally with some of those attributes. Someone put something in the chat. Thank you, Gus. I appreciate you, sir, very much. And really quick, let me go back. And the leadership way, like I said, people are quick to realize when leadership isn't great, and they're quick to leave. Gus and I, back in Vegas for the grand opening of Transact Card, we were we were in a suite, right? We're in the suite with the CEOs of Transact Card and some of the big leaders and vice presidents, senior vice presidents within Transact Card. And let me tell you, we were able to hear some things. We heard some things that were said that I can speak for myself, and Gus, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I can speak for the both of us here, that the leadership we saw on display in that room by Mr. Randy Schrader was phenomenal, was beyond phenomenal.
Yes,
So again,
it was.
yeah, yes, it was. There we go. Thank you. So it was great. And that's the reason why I'm still here. That's the reason why Gus is still here, right? An hour before this training, we had a training in Spanish, right? And that's why the people in those Zoom calls were still attending, because again, the leadership here is great. And there's a saying where the fish starts to stink at the tail, at the head, not at the tail, right? Because it all starts at the top. And right here, what we have going on is a thing of beauty, because again, the people that are on top, and we ourselves are here working so we can go ahead and be on top of them as well. So again, number 1, natural leadership ability. Some are born with it. That's okay. As we continue to grow, guess what? We can go ahead and grow those attributes as well. And don't rely on talent alone. Growing up, baseball was something that was heavy part of my life. Before I was even born, I believe my dad, made it a mission and a goal that baseball was something I was going to follow. When I was born, I didn't know if I was born naturally left-handed until I was about 5 years old and I broke my right hand. They put a cast around my whole wrist and hand. And when I got back to school, I had to write with my left hand. And guess what? I wrote way neater. Somehow, some way, I couldn't believe it. And I remember asking my dad, hey, what's going on? How's this possible? Oh, well, you see, and he calls me Pinchy. He says, oh, well, you see, Pinchy, you were born left-handed, but I made you right-handed so you could go ahead and play more positions in baseball. Now, growing up all the way into high school, I went to baseball programs. I had baseball coaches outside of high school, but I can tell you this, I had all the talent in the world. My dad will tell you, my high school coaches will tell you, but I didn't put in the work. I never went into the batting cages after practice. I never did. I never did. I relied on my talent alone. And where did it take me? Nowhere. My talent alone couldn't take me. It didn't take me anywhere. I had a bunch of opportunities. I could have went and had scouts from the Dodgers to watch me play. But again, I never put in the work. I relied on my talent alone, and it did not take me anywhere. It didn't get me anywhere. Whereas I saw those that wouldn't put in work in the batting cage, right? Those of us who are here tonight on this training Zoom is going to the batting cage, right? Because we're not relying on our talent alone. We are putting in the work, putting in the hours to make sure when our talent falls short, the work we put in can go ahead and take us above and beyond. Number two, respect for others. Violence and intimidation is a lot of way some people like to display their leadership. But as you can see right there, and my belief, and also by John C. Maxwell in the book, he says that is not real leadership. My belief, and again, John C. Maxwell's, that's why I like to read his books and listen to his audio so much, is because my leadership, my ideal leadership is servant leadership. And that is what John C. Maxwell preaches about. Servant leadership. How can I help you? How can I serve you? Not being a finger pointer, right? And do this and do that. If we see team members struggling, we as leaders need to reach out to our team members and say, how can I be of service? How can I help you? Right? I can't do everything for you, but whatever I can help you with, please let me know, because that is what I'm here to do. Again, working in the restaurant industry, it's pretty tough. Even when I worked in construction, there's not much HR in those fields. A lot of people like to, in those fields of work, people tend to have sewer mouths, so they tend to talk a lot of crap comes out of their mouth, to say the least. Excuse my French. But again, not just from the employees, but also the leaders. I've been talked down to by leaders. Some words that I would not repeat on this Zoom or to my mother were said to me, and I'm sure some words have been said to you as well. And again, violence, intimidation, that is not real leadership, and that is not what we are going to do here or teach here within TransactCard, right? Or even outside of TransactCard. Everything we learn here within the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, we can apply within and without TransactCard. So please keep that in mind. Number three, courage. A leader doesn't deserve the name unless they are willing to stand alone at times. Now, that is a quote within the book, and let me give you the page so you can go ahead. Give me 1 second. Oh, right here, page 80 by Henry Kissinger. A leader does not deserve the name unless he or she is willing to occasionally stand alone. And that is very true. And I'm sure you, Jacqueline, you, Oscar, and you, Gus, as well, when you first decided to make the decision to become a DBO within TransactCard. I'm sure there was a moment when you went to go speak to some people, it felt like you were standing alone. And yet you didn't waver, right? You didn't quit. You still decided to follow through with your decision with becoming a DBO here within TransactCard. What did that take? Courage. Courage, right? And so again, there are going to be times where us as leaders, and because we have the courage, there are going to be times where we stand alone, right? We're going to take a step in the dark first before anybody else, so we can go ahead and light the path for them to follow. That is what courage is, and that is what you guys have. That's why you're here on this Zoom. Number four, success. It's hard to argue with a good track record. So the more consistent and persistent we are with something, the odds get increasingly higher and more in your favor to become successful, right? So don't fall off. Stick to the path here with TransactCard and being a DBO, becoming a better and greater leader. Why? Because at the end, right? The success that you have will speak for itself and people will not be able to argue with it. Number 5, loyalty. Loyalty is an asset, especially when there is high turnover in today's society, in today's world. I believe right here, let's see. Yeah, right here on the same page, 80 to 81, speaking on loyalty. The average worker, according to one source, will change occupations 10 times by the time they reach age 36. I'm not even close to 36. I'm 27, and I've changed my field or my occupation, I believe at least 10 times. At least 10 times. And that's not good, right? That's not good, right? That goes to show you, at least on my behalf, that I'm not consistent. I'm not persistent. And this was before I joined Bitcoin. This was before I dove into the catering space as a chef. Now, within Bitcoin and catering, the last 7, 8 years, I've stuck through it and I haven't left. But I'll tell you, before I dove into these two places, I was jumping around, jumping around like I was Tigger, and that goes to show people that I didn't have loyalty. Not loyalty to the business, but even loyalty to myself. Andrew, you can't give yourself enough time to become good at whatever it is that you're trying to do. Right? Be loyal to yourself. Give yourself some time to go ahead and be able to grow in whatever it is that you're doing. And also on top of that, when the going gets rough, right, we need to get tough. And that right there in the times right here with Transact Card, right, we've had some changes or some delays, right? But those that uh, ride the choppy waters, right? We ride the storm. Guess what? After that, it's smooth sailing. When I first got into Bitcoin, it was tough. It was tough. A lot of my close friends and even certain family members talked down on me dropping out of college to pursue Bitcoin. But guess what? I didn't waver. My loyalty to Bitcoin uh, is beyond phenomenal. It's ridiculous. It's unmeasurable. And the reason being, because it's made my life a whole lot better. And because of my loyalty to Bitcoin, now when people think of Bitcoin or wanting to get into it, they come and ask me on how they can go ahead and do so. And same thing here with Transact Card, right? I'm staying loyal to it. I'm riding the choppy waters as we all are here, right? And as we stay loyal and we ride through the storm, after the storm, it's smooth sailing, and through that loyalty, throughout these choppy waters, some people will fall off, some people will jump ship, right? Some people will. And guess what? When they see that the ship made it out the other side, they're going to try to call back and, oh, come pick me back up. I'm over here. I'm over here. But this is where loyalty pays off, right? And when people see that you didn't fall off, you didn't waver, you stood your ground, guess what? They're going to come back and knocking on your door, ringing your doorbell. So loyalty really does pay off, again, especially when there's so much a revolving door in today's society, and a lot of things it feels like it. Number 6, value added to others. Add value to others, as did Coach Dean Smith with his players, as Coach Dean Smith did with his players, right? And again, within the book, it speaks about when Dean Smith retired from North Carolina and he went into the Hall of Fame. All kinds of coaches went and respected him. But what really mattered most were the players that went out of the way to go and acknowledge their coach and the respect that they had towards him. And I have MJ in parentheses just in case, again, you weren't able to read the book or you missed it. MJ stands for Michael Jordan. Now, Dean Smith, as a head coach, he had a handful of players that went on to the NBA and a handful that went on to become Hall of Famers. None like the other, like no one else, like Michael Jordan himself. So Coach Dean Smith, not only on and off the court, added value to his players, and that's why they loved him so much. So same thing here within our team members, within our organization, right? Go ahead and add value to them. Add value to our fellow DBOs. Add value to our fellow TCMs. Add value to our community, right? And we can go ahead and be like a Dean Smith. And who knows what type of players from your team will go on to become Hall of Famers? But it all starts because we add value to others. The ultimate goal, right? One measure of leadership is the caliber of people who choose to follow you. So the ultimate goal is to have the ideal people following us, right? Those people that we want to become members within our Transact card, right? To become DBOs within our community, we need to make sure we go ahead and before we, let me reach for that word. I just lost it. Before we demand things from other people, right? A list of things from people, let's make sure we ourselves can go ahead and check those things off that list ourselves. So we want to make sure we become exactly who it is we want to attract. If we want to attract people who are level 9, right, then we need to do what it takes to go ahead and become a level 9, right? Without earning respect, it's hard to get others to follow. You can have everything in life you want if you would just help other people get what they want. Now, this is a quote from Jim Rohn. This is outside of John C. Maxwell. Excuse me, but Jim Rohn is also a leader that John C. Maxwell himself followed and has quoted in other books. This is one of my favorite quotes. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want. And I believe that goes right here on to number 6, adding value to others. If we help enough people in this world get what they want, by default, guess what? We get what we want, right? If we help people go ahead and get to riches, by default, what happens? We get riches as well. So you can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want. Now, this is our Project Future roadmap, right? This is what we want to do. Milestone number 1 is toss to the side the bad cards we were dealt. As we saw Harriet Tubman, she had a huge list that she could have used as an excuse to stay a slave, to never have freed hundreds of people, right? So whatever bad cards we have in our hands right now, throw them away, throw them to the side, right? Stop holding on to them. They do us no favor. They do us a disservice. So throw them to the side. Number 2, write down your goals and those you can help, right? Write down your goals and then also those people that you can help. Why? Because again, if we help enough people get what they want, we will go ahead and get what we want. So connect to your DBOs, connect to the people outside of Transact Card that you love and you hold dear to your heart, and ask them what are their goals. How can you assist them to reach their goals? Why? Because again, by default, you will then be able to reach yours. Number 3, continue to plug in and work on yourself. Again, staying on this Zoom, on this training, on the ones that we have on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, right? The presentations, on the trainings on the weekends, the corporate Zoom calls. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Plug in, right? Because that's going to the batting cages. I didn't go to the batting cages for a long time, and it hurt me. I shot myself in the foot. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. I told myself, if I ever have the chance again to play for the Dodgers, I will put in as much work as it takes. And right now, I'm treating Transact Card as if they are the Dodgers. So again, I'm treating this, I'm reading the book, doing everything else, following the 10 steps as if it's the batting cages for me. I shot myself in the foot once. I won't do it again because then I won't have another foot to hop on, right? So please continue to plug in and work on yourself. Don't shoot yourself in the foot, because the ultimate goal in the end is to attract those leaders to you and grow your team, right? So in order to attract those leaders that we want, we need to make sure we become that leader first. So thank you, everyone. Oh, before I say thank you, the mind is just like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets and the more it can expand. And it's also like a rubber band, right? The more we expand our mind, once we expand it long enough, it loses its elasticity. It can no longer shrink again. So continue to work on yourself and keep on expanding that rubber band. And it's never going to rip, right? So continue expanding it. Thank you, Gus, Oscar, Jacqueline, for tuning in. Have a great week ahead of you. And any other questions or things, if I recorded this, so I can go ahead and send the recording to you. Oh, we have someone else trying to join right now. A little late to the party, but it's all good. Thank you for being here. Look like I should have been Mario for Halloween. I didn't think about it. I had to go I spent a bunch of money on a whole other costume. But thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your night. I will be posting the recording on YouTube and also saying it in the WhatsApp group. But please continue to work on yourself, read the book, stay plugged in, stay tuning in, and we'll see each other on tomorrow's presentation or next week's training on Tuesday again. Peace, God bless, and take care.